Imagine stepping into a room dimly lit by flickering candles. On one wall looms a massive canvas, with shadows dancing eerily across it. The painting seems alive, pulling you toward it with a palpable sense of dread and awe. The air is thick with the sensation of something ancient, primal, and terrifying. At the center of the painting, a grotesque figure dominates, a gaunt, wild-eyed giant. This is Saturn, the Roman god of time, his body twisted in a maddened frenzy. His face is a mask of horror, caught in the act of devouring his son. His mouth is open wide in a snarl, teeth gnashing through flesh, his long, sinewy arms gripping the lifeless body. His eyes bulge out of their sockets, wild, unhinged, and feral, as though driven insane by the very act he is committing. You can almost hear his heavy, ragged breaths, the violent chomping of teeth against bone, and the wet, sickening sound of tearing flesh. Saturn's body is weathered, aged, and almost skeletal. His skin clings to his bones like parchment, giving him a gaunt and deathly appearance, as if his very existence is a curse. His wiry gray hair flows in disheveled waves around his face, sticking to his sweaty forehead. His skin, pale and sallow, is mottled with shadows, as though he has lived too long and witnessed too much. His enormous, almost disproportionate hands are stained with blood, gripping the torn remains of his child like a ravenous beast. The son's body is a broken and lifeless shell, pale as moonlight, offering little resistance. His body, unnaturally bent and contorted, is missing parts, already consumed by Saturn's madness. Blood drips slowly, rhythmically, in thick crimson drops, as if time itself is slowing down to witness this horrific event. The son's body dangles helplessly in Saturn's grasp, caught between life and death, but any hint of humanity has already been stripped away. It is a gruesome offering to the insatiable hunger of the god, a tragic sacrifice to time. The background is a void, an abyss of deep black and dark browns, from which Saturn emerges like a shadowy nightmare. There is no ground, no horizon, nothing to anchor this monstrous scene in reality. It feels like you're peering into an endless chasm, where the laws of time and space no longer apply. The dark backdrop amplifies the sense of isolation and terror, leaving Saturn alone with his madness and his son's lifeless body. This space is suffocating, oppressive, as if the weight of time and despair presses in from all sides. Despite the horror of the scene, there's a terrible beauty to it. The painting pulses with raw emotion, fear, rage, despair, and the cold inevitability of time itself. You can feel Saturn's frantic desperation, his terrifying awareness of his own mortality. In his mind, consuming his children is the only way to stop time from devouring him. But it's too late. His madness has consumed him, and his actions have already damned him. Every brushstroke feels heavy with meaning, as if Goya is dragging you into the darkest recesses of the human soul, forcing you to confront the horrifying truth that even gods cannot escape time's relentless march. The painting leaves you feeling hollow, disturbed, and yet profoundly moved. Saturn is not just a monster. He is a reflection of the darkest fears within us. The fear of losing control, of being consumed by forces greater than ourselves, and of the passage of time. His expression is not just one of cruelty but also of deep, eternal sorrow, as if he knows that what he's doing will never save him. He devours his son in a futile attempt to escape his own destruction, but all that remains is the endless abyss. The viewer is left staring into that abyss, too, feeling the same primal terror that haunts Saturn. In this painting, Goya forces you to confront the brutal truth that time spares no one, not even the gods.